Yo, I need a water cup like Takumi's.
Anyway, you're here for some actual Touge content, right? Well, buckle up, because a while back, I entered a Touge tournament hosted by AC Will. And let me tell you, my runs were about as smooth as my parallel parking abilities. But listen, I can race sorta kinda good, so what does it matter? Okay, but seriously, here's the big question. Can someone like me, an amateur, hold their own in a proper Touge battle? By the end of this video, you'll not only have the answer to that, but you'll walk away with a few lessons you can actually use on your next run. Sound good? Nice. But first, it'd probably help if I explained the actual tournament. As you might expect, the tournament rules were straight out of Initial D, cat and mouse style. Basically, if you get gapped, you lose, if you overtake, you win. Simple, right? Yeah, not really. The tournament took place on Tsuchisaka, a Touge that punishes any form of hesitation as if you I don't know, butchered its name or something. And me, well, let's just say I'm not exactly the second coming of Fiji Water Takumi. I'm decent at best, but you know what? I'm here to help you learn from my mistakes, because there's plenty of them to go around. But how are we actually getting around? You get it? No? Okay, never mind. Here's a quick rundown. I'm in the Toyota AE86 Levin Dingo-Spec, and even though it's the Levin, we all know the 86 has more memes than horsepower, but it's got more power than my opponent's car, the Toyota MRS Haru-Spec. So you'd think that gives me the edge, right? Well, yeah, but turns out it's not just about the numbers. Anyways, I gotta point out one thing right off the bat. We kind of started with a bit of a gap. You see it as well, right? I'm either super oblivious or just overly polite or something. I don't know which one. Forget about that. As the run began, I had this brief moment of confidence thinking, yeah, I got this, but Tsuchisaka had other plans. Here's what happened. Let's talk about lines. There's this phrase I like to think of. Unfolding the Touge. Basically, it's a fancy way of saying don't tackle each corner like an isolated problem. You've got to think 2, maybe 3 corners ahead. I, on the other hand, was just trying not to clip the guardrails, which, as you can see, that worked out perfectly. I mean, listen to this part of the commentary.
I don't think he's given himself enough space to be able to get the fastest exit, and I think that may be hurting his speed here, especially being in the 8.6.
Hold on, let me put that in Google Translate real quick. Yeah, okay, but jokes aside, the lesson is this. You've got to aim for a solid entry so that you can achieve high exit speed, and your entry depends on building a good understanding of how the whole section flows. Think of it like a rhythm game, but you can't just restart and have your opponent magically teleport back or something. Now let's move on to braking and throttle control. Quite literally the fundamentals of racing. One of my biggest mistakes was braking too early, in other words, being a bit too hesitant to commit. And throttle control, yeah, that's crucial. Too much and you'll just end up sliding into the shadow realm. Too little and you're getting gapped like me. Balance is key. Let's look at 2 examples. Now, the fact that my opponent might be a controller player could have played a role here, but you can clearly see the difference in braking as we approach this section. As for throttle control, generally my opponent tries to keep on the throttle as much as possible and adjust smoothly, only letting off when absolutely necessary, whereas mine, well, wasn't that. But in my opinion, this isn't even the most important lesson. Lastly, and arguably the most important, course knowledge. If you don't know the course, it's sort of like trying to freestyle in a game of chess. Touge isn't just some boring old road. It's kind of like a puzzle, with different pieces that connect together to form a whole. And although I had some idea of what was coming up, there were moments where I hesitated, and that hesitation cost me. I mean, if you ask me, you can kind of tell that my opponent has more experience and confidence when it comes to this course. But that's no excuse. To be honest, learning the layout of the course is one of the simplest and most rewarding parts of Touge driving. It's just a matter of getting that seat time and enjoying the process. Now, I'm not gonna lie, my performance wasn't great, but that's the point. This isn't about getting it perfect the first time. It's about learning, adapting, and maybe, just maybe, closing that gap the next time. What do you think? Either way, I hope you learned something, or at the very least, had a good laugh in it.